to hear from Single Girl Eats. I'm going to focus today on vegetables and how best to store them so that they're ready for you to use them as soon as you're ready to make a dish. The main thing is with vegetables, I don't know how many times that they've rotted in my fridge or on my counter because I just didn't have the time to do the research on how to properly store them. If you're in the same boat, don't worry. I've done all the research for you and we're gonna go through them step by step. And since I'm only covering a sampling of vegetables, I'm actually going to add in a quick reference chart. So if I don't cover a vegetable that you love to incorporate in your dishes today, don't worry, more than likely it's going to be on that chart. The chart will be in my description below. So we'll get started and hopefully you'll find this helpful. So we're going to start with bell peppers. Bell peppers are pretty easy. Pop them in the fridge. You can even keep them in the same bag. One thing I will advise, look at the bag, make sure there's not a lot of condensation in there, a lot of moisture. Peppers will rot easier if there's a lot of moisture surrounding them. So if the bag's not quite up to par, go ahead, take them out of the bag, put them in your Ziploc freezer bag, pop them in the fridge. There you go. I already used like half of the cabbage, so this is not from the grocery store, FYI. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So cabbage, keep it unwashed until you're ready to use it. And if you don't use a whole head of it, because I know it's a lot, then just put a dry towel around it, pop it in your Ziploc bag, pop it in the fridge. Now, mushrooms. They still have to be used pretty quickly if you store them in the fridge, but take them out of the container, don't wash them, put them in a paper bag. There's no way I'm gonna use all these within a week. So I'm gonna show you an alternate way to store them for later use. So my spinach, when you buy them in a bag or even if you buy them loose, there's gonna be a lot of moisture in it. And moisture is its enemy. So what you're gonna wanna do is put it in a container with a dry towel and separate it, or take it out of the bag and separate it from any wilty pieces, damaged pieces, what have you. Be prepared to have a paper towel in hand and just dab them as you put them in the container. Carrots. Oh, carrots. So 2 ways you can store carrots. Unwashed. Actually, most of your produce, unwashed is best until you're ready to use. So unwashed carrots can actually be placed in a loose plastic bag, store it in your fridge, and you can use it within a couple weeks. No big deal. Now, if you want to store carrots a little longer, what you're going to want to do is actually, I'm trying to be very careful with this, store my carrots in a large container with water, which I know can be a little precarious because if you're not really careful, water will go everywhere. But the carrots will stay fresher, crisper, longer if it's submerged in water in a pretty vase. So if you find that you're not getting a lot of flowers lately, use a use a vase because it's pretty. Pretty decoration for your fridge. I'm talking nonsense now. Let's move on. Oh, celery. The fickle little stem of this earth. If you don't have a proper plan for celery, it will wilt on you faster than you can even think to use it in a dish. So I tightly pack it in an aluminum foil and label it on the outside of what it is and the date that I got it, to kind of keep myself in check on when I really need to use it. It'll stay like this for a couple of weeks. Not that bad. You can do this. Everyone I know has aluminum foil. My favorite, green onion. In order to keep your green onions stiff, vibrant, flavorful, you're gonna wanna put it in a water glass or a small pitcher. Put a little bit of water just to cover the roots. And then use the same plastic bag it came in with a little rubber band. Put the grocery bag loosely over the green onions and use the rubber band to put on the top of your container. Keep it loose, but keep it humid. Replace the water every few days. If you take a look at the water and it looks a little bit cloudy, a little dirty, something's floating in there, just go ahead and change it. And last but not least in this group, I've got my zucchini. They can be stored in the same bag that came from the grocery store. Just keep it open so that you've got good air circulation there. They will only probably last you a week or so. So along with this, carrots, celery, and mushrooms, I've got an alternate way to store them so they last you a little longer. Alright, now let's move on to my shelf-stable vegetables. Welcome to my open shelf unit. Isn't it pretty? Other than my crackers, my chips, and everything else that I like to snack on, I do keep my shelf-stable vegetables in this area. Couple things. Traditionally, I've always stored onions and potatoes together. Actually, you're not supposed to do that, I found, because onions emit this gas thing that is a ripening agent and can help ripen things quicker. So in order to extend the potatoes' life, I keep them away from each other. So usually I'll have my onions on the top shelf and I'll have my potatoes on the bottom shelf in a bowl somewhere. Now I will say that this part of my kitchen is usually pretty cool and dark. It's away from windows, not a lot of light or heat gets in this area of the kitchen. It's usually suggested that potatoes hide out in your cabinet. However, I found that if it's out of sight, it's absolutely definitely out of mind. And another thing I like to do is store avocados right next to my onions. When I buy avocados, usually on sale, they're in a bag and they're unripe. Because onions help give off that ripening agent, I like to store them next to each other just for a day or two until the avocados get a little soft. Then I'll pick one out for a dish and store the rest in the fridge. It'll slow down the ripening process just a little bit so that you have time to use them when they're ready. So an alternate way to preserve your mushrooms is to actually freeze them, but you can't freeze them raw. So what you need to do is wash your mushrooms, trim the edges, saute them first. So I just have a little bit of avocado oil, 1 trip around the pan. Get that hot to a medium high, and once it's ready, don't put your hand in there, but once it's ready, go ahead and put your mushrooms in. So you have a choice here. You can saute them whole or sliced. Today I'm just going to do them whole. And slide them in. Get a little sizzle going on. So what you're going to do is toss them around the pan a bit and make sure they have coloring on each side. I kind of just want to eat them, to be honest, but I won't. Alright, I think we're ready to move over to the freezer. So once your mushrooms have cooled down, you can place them in a Ziploc bag, pop them in the freezer, and forget them. Of course, until you're ready to use them. So another way to get use out of your fresh carrots is to trim them up a bit. So chop the ends, peel the outside, and get ready to blanch. We just chop off the ends here. And I like to use either a container or the plastic bag it came in to catch the trimmings. And after you've boiled them for about 3 to 4 minutes, then you're going to give them a shock. And a hot tip for you, the way that you can tell that the carrots were properly blanched is the vibrancy of the color and the little bit of the texture. So once your carrots have cooled, just drop them in your Ziploc bag, make sure it's airtight once you seal it up, and put it in the freezer for whenever you're ready to use it.
Alright, now I'm about to show you my chopping skills. I'm super excited because I've been practicing. Just look at me go. Oh yeah. So, let me get back on topic here. What you're going to want to do is chop your celery into bite-sized pieces before you blanch.
And once you have your celery chopped, just put it in the boiling water for about 3 to 4 minutes. Usually when celery is properly boiled, it'll all rise to the top. And now we give it a nice bath to stop the cooking process. Now if you so choose, you can drain the water using the colander, but I intend to use the water for the next blanching project that we do. So I'm just going to fish them out. And now they're ready to freeze.
Alright, onto the zucchini. Just cutting off the ends there, giving it a quick chop, and moving over to blanch.
Alright, and in they go. Again, another 3 to 4 minutes. And now that they're sufficiently cool, all we need to do is bag them. Well, there we have it. So I hope that you do take home some of these tips and that they're useful for you. I know that throughout the years, there's been so many things that I've done wrong in the kitchen, and spoiling vegetables is number one on the top of my list. And since incorporating some of these storage ideas, I have been able to use fresh vegetables more often and not waste a whole ton of money. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's been a blast. Now you know what to do. Go feed yourself.